Alright, I think today we're going to see if this thing will run again. Don't get too excited though. With the snow coming in, I don't know if we'll be able to pull the Seneca out and get it in here and try to find a way to wedge this in there, but at least we can see what this is going to do. It's been sitting here for probably 3, 4, or 5 years. I don't know, last time I ran it, but it might be locked up. I haven't tried it, but at the very least we can see if it's locked up. If it's not, try to get it to fire and maybe even run. Obviously we're not going to run it too long because it has no cooling system or anything, but first things first, let's clear a path for this thing, get it over onto the other side, and then start playing with it. Alright, I got this thing over to this side and I've been looking at it a little bit. It seems like it's pretty much ready to go. It's got oil in it, clean oil. I've got all my wires hooked up, coils here. I got a wire going to the distributor. I have to clip that on the other side of the coil here. And then this is my power for my coil. And it looks like I'll have to tape up some wires, put some safety tape on them. And yeah, it should run. Starter's still attached. I think before I attempt to start it, I'm going to go ahead and take a vacuum and kind of suck this crap out of here. And suck the cobwebs out of the carburetor there. I want to suck all of that crap in. Before I do that, I'm also going to pull the plugs out and just spray some penetrating oil in there, and then I'll grab a breaker bar and try to turn the crankshaft, make sure it's not completely locked up or anything, and it should pretty much be ready to start. And I guess I'll put a chain down from there across the engine here to kind of keep it from rocking and rolling too much if it does start. But let's go ahead and get started on that, and then see if we can fire this thing up. Alright, I got all the plugs out. I sprayed some penetrating oil in there. Never hurts to have a little cylinder lubrication. And I did notice that one of these plugs had a little bit of rust starting to form on it, so it may be a little bit stuck. Shouldn't be too bad if it is, but we'll give her a little try here and just see if it moves with the breaker bar. Oh yeah, that ain't bad at all. Make sure we can get it to turn over the whole way. Perfect. Looking good. Well, I think I'll keep spinning it a few times, get that penetrating oil worked in there, and then we'll put the plugs back in and see if we can't get it to crank and fire up. Alright, I got the plugs back in it and the wires back on it, and I got the coil mounted kind of up out of the way there. I don't have any gas in it, and I haven't hooked the coil up to power yet, but I think we're just going to crank it over. Make sure the starter works and everything, maybe get a little oil worked up in there, and if that all goes good, then we'll fire it up. Battery cables aren't looking in the best shape, the jumpers, but we'll give it a try, see if it'll crank this thing over anyway. Well, it cranks it. Spitting out a bunch of mice crap from the exhaust, but I think it'll work. Let's fill the bowl up and see if we can get it to pop. Alright, I got some gas poured in the bowl. Should be good to go. I should have probably spilled enough in there to get it to pop off pretty much right away, but we'll see. And I have a feeling it's going to be loud and smoky, so I got my earplugs in. But let's go ahead and give it a try. I don't have a whole lot for jumper cables. Let's see if I can go find another pair. Alright, I got a little bit better jumper cables on there, and I think we're going to give her a shot of carb spray too, just to see if that'll get her going. So let's give her a try. Alright, it doesn't seem to be popping, so I'm just going to do a quick check, make sure I've got spark, and if we got spark, I think I'm just going to start playing with the throttle and see what happens. Yeah, no spark that I can see. Alright, I was getting kind of a weak spark out of the coil, so I just removed that ballast resistor, and we'll see if that helps and see if we can fire it up that way. Well, so far not so much luck, but we got spark at least. I checked that and removed that ballast, and the spark is much better. I looked down there and it's pretty wet inside there. I can see the bottom of the intake. Nice little puddle, so it might actually be flooded at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the throttle open and kind of let that air out in case it's flooded. I've also got the battery on the charger. Let that charge up. You can tell it's not really cranking very good because I'm using jumper cables for starter cables, and they're not exactly the best for that purpose, but it should work. We'll let that charge up, let that air out, and come back and try it again. We'll get this thing running one way or another. Alright, I got the battery all charged up. Let's give it another go. Let's try something a little more potent. Not much left, but we'll give it a try. Alright, to see if I can get it to crank a little bit faster, I put both of the jumper cables on the ground, and I'm just going to touch the wire from the starter straight to the battery. Not my favorite way of doing it, but maybe we'll get enough power to crank it a bit faster. Well, it's starting to come to life. I'm going to let that wire cool down a bit, and we'll try to get it in a minute. Well, we got it to fire. See if we can dump a little more gas in it and actually keep it running. Alright, let's give it another go. Well, I'd say that ran. Not the best because that carburetor is junked, but that's what happens when it sits for ever. Well, there we go. It runs. Just need a little more juice. These jumper cables really aren't the best because they're just copper-coated aluminum wires, so needed to double it up on the ground and then use the full copper starter cables to actually get it to finally go. But it runs, and I didn't want to hook up the gas to it and get it pumped in there because I think carb's leaking all over the place. I think if I hooked it up to gas, I'd just have it spraying everywhere. So yeah, it runs, but it needs a little bit of work. So now I suppose all we got to do is figure out how to bolt it in that car. That should be fun. Wouldn't expect that to happen anytime soon though, because as you can see we got snow blowing in under the door. It rained all day yesterday and it's all ice outside, and then a nice little covering of snow, so I don't know how I'd get it in here, but at least the engine runs again.